Welcome back to the F1 Sim Racing World Championship 2025. We've waited a long time. We've had qualifying underway, done and dusted in Melbourne, and now we go racing for round one in Melbourne. And boy, oh boy, was it a very, very close quali. Pole position separated by 0.03 of a second. Look at how resplendent this studio here is in Sweden. A LAN event like no other. 8th season, and joining myself, Tom Deacon, on the desk, I have Alex Jakes, Matt Gallagher, and former F1 sim racer. It's the one and only Mr. Marcel Kiefer with an analyst role. I will start with you then, Marcel, as we get into it. Qualifying's done. We've had time to reflect on it. Final thoughts before we get into racing?
It's going to be interesting to see who's actually able to turn their performance from qualifying into the actual race performance, because we have the youngsters, Isma and Otis. I mean, Otis with his first season, we don't know anything about his race pace, how he's going to cope over full race distance with tire management, ERS management. And we have a veteran like Freddy, I mean the current champion, trying to defend his title, obviously, in a good position. Probably not with a lot of help from his teammate, because his teammate is currently out of the top 10, but similar to most of the teams. The only team that is actually in the top 10 is Mercedes, with both drivers, with Istvan Buki and Danny Bersney. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Matt, it was exciting. We're all just feeling a little bit now settled again, ready for what is going to be an incredible season. What did you take away from quali coming into the race today?
Well, I have absolutely no idea who's going to win the championship, is it really? Of course, Freddie Rasmussen, as you mentioned, Marcel, looking very ominous on the front row of the grid. But overall, I'm just so excited to see so much new talent coming in and performing so well. Of course, we had Alfie Butcher last year, who had a difficult qualifying, but then Otis Lawrence was like, no, it's my turn now. I'm 16. It's my year.
Pass me that crown.
Exactly, but it's phenomenal work. It's still so close. Every single year, it never ceases to amaze me how close it can be. So yeah, very excited.
And Jakesy, yourself, coming into this after a year away. I don't know about you, but I got the goosebumps again. I'm ready to see who will be on that top spot.
There's nothing like opening night. We have no idea who's going to convert. As Marcel said, qualifying is one thing, race pace entirely another. But everyone wants this one. If you're a pre-season favourite for the title, means the world to get up and running super quickly. Means that you can take things slightly easier for the rest of the event, and you've managed to get that win in nice and early. If you're a rookie and you can do something spectacular on debut, like a win, like a podium, you've made your name immediately, and it's all on the line tonight. It's great.
Two-time world champ Jarno Opmeer, with it all to do from P11. That's the challenge that has been set, P11 to P1, Matt. Bit of a surprise for him and maybe some of the other old guard. I don't mean any disrespect by calling them that, but the veterans.
Yeah, I mean,
of the
we can't really be calling anyone old here, can we?
Well, me and yourself, definitely not. But the old guard have got targets on their back. Jarno, Nicholas Longe, not the quality he wanted. What do you make of some of those big names going out?
Well, when you say surprising, I'm not really surprised with Jarno's in particular, just purely because he has struggled with qualifying. That's been his kind of weakness, really. It's the race pace, it's the incredible strategies that he's managed to unfold that's been able to get him right to the top. So I'm not surprised to see him 11th, but look, I said it in the quali show, he just has to delete, reset, go again from 11th. We've seen him win from further back than that, and it is possible to overtake, isn't it, Marcel? So there are opportunities.
Yes, I mean, we have quite a couple of DRS zones, I think 3 in total, so there is a high chance to see some overtakes. But at the same time, it also depends on the strategy. If they are all going for a similar way, I've heard the tire window is quite difficult on this track in particular, so there's a small window where they can pit, and usually if the teams are split how they are right now, there will be one driver who gets the priority. Let's say Ferrari, if Nico wants to make a comeback, Barry will always get the pit priority, so because they know they can achieve big points with him. With Nico, it's like a gamble if they would go for it. And also another thing that I learned from him, because I mentioned the RNG earlier, so these small areas on the track where the drivers feel like it's a bit of luck involved, because they have to run the car so low with these ground effect cars that actually in the high speed turn, I think 11 and 12, on the right-hander, they sometimes completely bottom out, and that's also why Nico lost his final lap, because he lost like over 1.5 tenths down this whole straight. If you bottom out, you get pushed to the outside, and that invalidates your lap time, so he needs to lift off. This is also going to be one thing. I think if someone is making a mistake there and the driver behind doesn't bottom out, we will see a big overtaking opportunity leading up into the right-hander
Yeah,
into sector 3.
And I like this calmness that we have at the moment before it really gets into that chaos period. You mentioned there the Scuderia Ferrari team and Nicolas Longuet alongside Barry. And really, when you look at that team, it is about that teamwork. We saw them become the Constructors' champions because of their teamwork. Earlier on, there was some comms, which I'm loving for 2025, that we have this team comms that we can get into. And what was said between Barry and Nicolas, if we can play that for people.
Man, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Good job, Barry.
Lucas or Isan, please knock Jarno out.
Man.
Yeah, Jarno's out.
Oh, man. Lucas is out as well.
Man, that's really jumbled up.
Man, you were crazy. I feel so bad.
Yeah,
You're gonna recover, man. Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Man, you're crazy in the race. Nobody is close to you in the race.
Love that. You can recover. I think that's what's required in the F1 sim racing world is, yes, it's about that driver's championship, but working as a team. And Marcel, you know that more than anyone with Freddie, when you were putting your elbows out in certain corners to try and give him the best opportunity to become a champion.
I mean, honestly, I think for many drivers, I mean, some they're actually like very technical about everything and like a robot. Like Freddie seems like a robot, but he's actually like a kind heart on the inside. You don't see it from the outside, but you need that comfort, you need that stability, like Barry just gave his teammate. And also Barry said, man, you don't know how fast this guy is in the race. He's so certain that Nico is the fastest race driver, so maybe we see a big comeback from him. And I think they work so well together also with the engineers. They proved it last year. They didn't have the best start to the season. Then they made a huge comeback with, I think, 2 1-2s in the middle of the season, and then they still became champions. So I think, this is an example of a team that you want to have in any other team. If they support each other this way, then you can only win, even if you lose.
And the race engineer, Jonah Mertens, knows what it's all about and what it takes and requires. That's 2 back-to-back Constructors titles for him of being part of the team. Alex, when I talk about previous winners in the world of F1 sim racing, we've had some big names. Are you predicting maybe there could be a new champion that could be added to that list? Or maybe a back-to-back title for Freddie?
He is without doubt the driver to be, but he's always the driver to be. He's finished second for 4 years in a row. He's finally got the title last time out. I don't think it's impossible that we get a new champion, but he very much, I think he's the odds-on favourite to start the year, but it's a lot of races in quick succession spread over a 3-month period, but he's definitely the leading man at this stage.
Yeah, Matt, we have, I don't want to give too much away, but we're all staying in pretty much the same hotel. We interact with the drivers. But we do. We chat, we get the lowdown, we talk to them, and you've been trying to sort of get the...
You've been bothering them, Matt,
Yeah, been bothering them.
While they're trying to order
find
their
out
break.
who will be
It's
winning,
one of
Matt. So I would like to know who's the talk.
Who's the talk? Well, unsurprisingly, whoever I speak to, they think they're going to win. I mean, of course, I mentioned the quality show. Ron Ha, very set on himself, saying that, look, I am and should be the favourite, which is fair enough. That's the somewhat delusion. If all 20 drivers think they're going to win, not everyone can win. But that's what you need, is that that thinking, that mental strength. So, look, Ron Ha, of course, what did he qualify? 7th today. He's still in the top 10. He still has a chance. Yeah, it's just brilliant to see these new names as well as the old guard going up against each other, and they're all the talk of the town. They all think that they are the next big thing.
He was a former teammate of Marcel. Apparently he's got a big heart inside. He might not show it on the outside. Freddie Rasmussen, 1,004 points in the history of F1 sim racing. Incredible stats. You can never write him off. Even in quali, in Q3, we're like, oh, maybe we might not. Wait a second.
I don't think we actually wrote him off, did we, mate? We were like,
Some
do
people
not write him off.
We would never mislead the viewer. Not deliberately, anyway.
But Freddie Rasmussen, can we talk about that a little bit more? I mean, if anyone's got that opportunity to be a back-to-back champion, it is Freddie, and nothing seems to bother him. I mean, Marcel, you work with him closely. What's he like over there right now?
I think he's nervous, but at the same time, it's just usual business for him. I think Freddie is by far... I mean, I've been teammates also with Jarno, and no question, Jarno is super talented. He's probably the best F1 esports driver that F1 sim racing driver that this scene has ever seen so far. But Freddie's consistency and the stats itself, like I think he has, I don't know how many pole positions, I think over 15. He has so many race wins. I mean, he's a back-to-back and P2 finisher in the championship, and even in 2018, I remember that Brendon was helping out Danny in the final race to push Freddy as far as he can, so Danny is still finishing P2 in the championship, so they have the 1-2. This guy is a machine. Like, he's something that you just have to be grateful to witness. Like, on this level where the cars are equal and the competition is so tight, to have a driver that is actually always there is insane.
And the fact of, we've mentioned it, you're seeing there Jarno and Freddie in the shot now. Their third driver who's waiting in the wings is Sebastian Job. I mean, when you think of sim racing drivers, the best sim racing driver voted for Sebastian Job. I mean, what a lineup! That's just experience upon experience to lend into this title battle, which they want to win again. It's been a while for Red Bull.
Absolutely, for sure. You know, having that third driver that has the expertise, the experience to be able to speak to these drivers. Not that Freddie or Jarno probably need a lot, but it's always nice to have a three-driver lineup that you can rely on. I don't think Sebastian is expecting to be driving at all this season, because Otmar and Rasmussen are two absolute big guns in this season. So. Yeah, Red Bull are looking great. They are definitely the favourites for the teams and the drivers in a lot of people's opinions, but as we saw with qualifying, it's not as plain sailing as what it says on the paper.
Yeah, and Sebastian's pretty busy. We're watching his Gamer to Glory on YouTube. Incredible stuff, and how much dedication these guys have got in their professionalism, and incredible to see. Can we focus on the Australian Grand Prix a little bit, Alex? The return since 2018. Incredible circuit to go to. What are you looking forward to in the race?
I'm intrigued to see how we run on this slightly faster configuration. Last time we ran it in an event for the World Championship was in 2018, when it had slightly tighter corners, so it's faster across the board. The key overtaking opportunity, Marcel was hinting to it early on, the right-hander that you have towards the end of the lap, that is a defined overtaking opportunity, maybe in the way that it wasn't in the past. So it's still a circuit where you're going to get a massive DRS train. You've got 3 opportunities around the lap, and you're going to have to be brave to make the overtakes.
I tell you, one man who is incredibly brave, I can say the word, he was a winner back in 2018. It's Brendon Leigh. He's got a walkthrough of the track for us right now.
So Melbourne, we're starting the lap actually on the second to last corner, because you really have to prepare the lap, get a good momentum. Going through the final corner, it's completely flat out, opening the DRS as we get onto the pitch straight. Then we're up to 6th, 7th and 8th gear. Turn 1's really tricky. You have the grass on the inside and you need to clip the curbing at the perfect angle. On the exit of turn 1, the track limits are really tight. Opening DRS one more time, heading down into corner 3. You actually have quite a lot of curb usage on the inside that you can attack, but don't go too wide on the exit, otherwise you'll compromise turn 4. What is a really difficult rear axle is sliding through this corner, and then turn 5 easily flat out. Minimize the distance so you can maximize the lap time potential. Into the start of sector 2, it's really tricky here, because it's easy to bottom out the front axle of the car, get understeer, and that could be compromising your lap time. Shooting down the back straight, what was modified a few years ago, and then you're opening up the DRS to a flat out chicane. Going to need quite bravery going through there, but starting sector 3 on the exit, don't hit the inside curb too much, otherwise it will invalidate you by throwing you wide of the exit curbing. Once again, DRS wide open as we fly down into the 3rd sector, hitting the brake at 50-meter board on the top left-hand side of the screen, and then clipping the curb on the inside, avoiding the red part of the curb, otherwise it will fly the car into the air and you'll go to the moon. On the exit, just bring the car back onto the road gradually, flat out through the 3rd to last corner of the track. Car to the right hand side, hit the brake, again use the curbing on the inside of the track, get the car to the middle of the track on the exit, and then flat out for the final right hander, opening DRS, and that is a lap here at Melbourne.
Thank you very much to Brendon for that. From Melbourne to the moon. Great stuff from him. He has announced his retirement from the series at the end of this year. Marcel, while we focus on him for a second, before we catch up with Brendon Leigh and Joni Tommala, who were both on the podium back in 2018, if you are down in 16th, how do you attack a circuit like this? From what we know from F1 sim racing in terms of that DRS train, what can drivers do back in the grid?
Oh, that's honestly, it's tricky. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of DRS zones, but again, there's the dirty air which affects the drivers. Then in F1 Esports, we always have these DRS trains, so you kind of like stay within touch of the front runner. You don't want to make any mistakes, because if you make a mistake, then you will probably get passed by the car that is literally a tenth behind you. Or it's the opposite way, that someone in front of you makes a mistake and you can go for a move. It really depends how it's gonna play out there. And also with the car sometimes bottoming out in the high-speed chicane, if a driver actually bottoms out and there's a fight between two drivers going into the right-hander, maybe they stay side by side, we might even see a gap between certain packs of the field, maybe the front runners, mid runners, and the back runners. And then the strategy is also going to unfold completely different. We don't know yet what tires they are going to run. Maybe they're going to run the mediums, maybe they're going to run the hards, or maybe someone is going to surprise us with some special strategy that might not actually work on paper, but it could. So yeah, just very difficult, but the start is going to be important, and then the pit window is probably going to be where you either lose or win the race.
And Matt, it's great to see, he's just back over there, Joni Tormula, back on the grid, finished third back in 2018. Just great to see one of the OGs back and proving that they've still got it.
It is. I feel like he lied to us years ago when he said that he wouldn't shave until he won. I don't believe that's the facial hair he's had since then. But it's great to have him here, of course. Lots of a variety of expertise and experience on the grid, and that's what we want to see. And Joni still has the love for it, which is awesome.
Yeah, and a movement there of his teammate, Josh Edo, obviously at Red Bull, who we were just speaking about just a moment ago. Alex, two experienced drivers hoping to change the fortunes of a team that really struggled last year.
Yeah, LP not where they wanted to be 1 year ago, but look, when you're starting the season 6th on the grid, that is something to build with. That is something that you can, if you get a great start, you're in a good position for a podium there. Crucial first lap. But yeah, they've got an all-new lineup. They're not the only ones to change things entirely. Hopefully it goes better for them this year than last.
Okay. All right then, let's see what Brendon and Tomala had to say about this iconic track, which is coming up very shortly.
Pretty decent start from Brendon Leigh in the first Mercedes on the run down towards the first corner. Berejnay coming with him into turn 1. A Mercedes 1-2 as they come through the first corner. Now Karinen is in third place for Williams, battling with Joni Tormula in the Red Bull. Tormula's got the inside line as they get onto the brakes into the right-hander of turn 3. And he holds on to third position. Perfect start for Mercedes.
First, beating Tormula anywhere, you need to be smart, witty, and intelligent, because he's such a experienced guy within sim racing, playing many games around the world and doing many series. So he's always been quick, but you have to have that tactical edge to beat him out in a race.
Never raced a new layout before, but the way I'm going to beat Brendon Leigh in Melbourne is to qualify ahead of him. It's very hard to overtake.
Couple more corners to go then. Joni Tormula still holding on to that third place in front of Tino Naukarinen, but there is no doubt who wins. It's the reigning champion, Brendon Leigh.
I'm really looking forward to the chicane at the end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3. It's basically just about flat out in a racing situation. DRS wide open, send it up the inside of another car, and whoever's bravest makes it out on the other side of the corner.
Oh, I will be very aggressive, trust me.
Great stuff there to hear from Joni Tormula, the owl, as he's known. He's the return. And Brendon Leigh, always the joker. Earlier on, if you were with us for quali, when we were about to go to Albert Park Circuit, and he looked like he was asleep. It wasn't a joke. He was genuinely just relaxing, just being reflective before he went racing. Joni Tormula mentioned there in that VT that he needed to start ahead of Brendon. It's happened. That's going to be a nice battle back at the grid, Matt.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sad part is that you said towards the back of the grid, of course, for them being 12th and 16th. I'm sure as much as they'd like to beat each other, they'd both like to score points. Doesn't really matter if they beat each other and they finish 12th and 13th. So they're both going to have to move forward somehow. And those drivers towards the back of the grid, as much as they want to fight, you also need to work together in a lot of ways so that you can actually push forward and try to beat some of the other drivers, whether that's through strategy or something crazy like you mentioned, Marcel. So, yeah. At the moment, Tormula has the edge, but both of them need to move forward.
Yeah. Marcel, when you look at Brendon Leigh, a two-time champ, and you've competed against him back in that 2017 where you were qualifying or trying to qualify to go to Abu Dhabi, and just his sort of greatness back in 2017, how close or how far away is he from potentially winning another championship?
I mean, honestly, it's difficult to say because it was similar to me when I was still racing. It's just these veterans. They all dialed into a certain driving style, but the cars changed, the games changed over the years, and the young guns, they are still fresh. They are happy to grind hours and hours. And if you do this for like 7-8 years, how some of these guys are doing it, it just gets also tiring because in some years I actually drove also 12 hours a day, like during the season. And if you do this over and over and over again, you test, you go crazy at some point. And after a while, you're just like, man, I need to find like a balance. While some of these kids, they're just like easy. Like I think Otis is one of these kids. He's just like on it. And he's so confident. And especially if you don't have experience yet and you're just here to like prove yourself, and he has that hunger. For Brendon, he dealt with a lot of adversity now already. Like maybe he's like, okay, I will do my best, but maybe the best is not enough anymore. Maybe the competition just got so strong. I think it's very difficult for him to challenge again, but obviously he has the experience. And I remember back then, everyone was scared of Brendon Leigh. Everyone was like watching him. Everyone was looking at the screen. Everyone wanted to know, what is he doing with the car setups? What is he doing with the driving? He was the only guy, like you see these drivers, usually in the game, you have 360 degrees of wheel rotation, like native from the car. Brendon was driving with 420. Never ever before. Usually they use like 300 or 310 just to make it a little bit easier to turn and not turn too much. Brendon used 420. So when he was in the Monaco hairpin, he was literally like going like this, turning around like.
And now people just want him for the snacks that are next to his rig. I tell you what, who needs to be on it? It's Alpine. Claire Cottingham is with some of the team from Alpine.
Team manager, of course, alongside me, Harvey Partridge. Harvey, we were just talking there how difficult this season, last season was, and difficult coming into a new season as well, because you've got to really reset your mindset. And what you guys have done is got a whole new lineup.
Yeah, so we've built from the ground up in the off-season. It's been a long off-season for sure, but there's been so much work put in. The guys have just come off a week in Enstone prepping with the team. No single driver, no single engineer has been carried forward from next year. It was a tough goodbye last year, but I'm really happy with the direction we've gone in.
Something, like you say, probably had to change at that point. You brought Josh over, obviously, from Red Bull. P6 on the grid, that's a good start. Yeah,
I think it was a really, really good lap from Josh. I think he knows he had more in the tank, but we've had some wise words from Jonny in the break room throughout today, and there's no expectations on us. We're coming in as the back of the grid. There's no expectations on where we're to finish. We know what expectations we've got on us internally, so that's all we've got to hit.
And let's talk a little bit about Jonny then, back on the grid. Big smile on your face. It's such a legend of the sport.
Yeah, I love working with Jonny. I think looking in from the outside, he's always been a bit of a quiet character, but he's so much fun to spend time with. He's always got a funny liner or one-liner that he's coming into the races with and to the practice sessions with. So it's really good. The team chemistry is insane compared to last year. We're so happy.
And bringing that experience as well must be so important within the team, the rebuild and really trying to push forward.
Yeah, I think, performance is the number one priority. We've had to make brand new systems and bring in new processes to analyse all of our data and bring in, the setup. So we've got nothing from last year. We built from the stones and from ground up. So anything is great for us here today.
I was going to say, so are you expecting a bit of a learning year, or is this going to be a foundation? How does it work?
Absolutely. We're looking at it as a learning year. There's so much that's changed from this year to last year. But that's not to say that we can't have a good year. The performance that we're showing now is representative of where we expect and even higher. But yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be sat at us looking at we'll win the championship, but I think we'll put in a good show.
Expectations for the race?
I'd like to see Josh get up into those podium places. I know he's got it in him. I know he's got the fight. He's disappointed with that P6 lap time. I know he thinks he could do better, and I know he could do better, but there's no pressure on him. He'll do what's good for him.
Drivers are never happy. Thank you so much. Good luck for the race.
Thank you.
What a statement from Claire. Drivers are never happy.
You should have heard the noise that Marcel made to that.
Jonny Tillman, 59 starts, 4 podiums, one of which is at this track. I'd like to get your predictions then, based on what we saw in quali and how we might think it might go down when we go racing in just a moment. Marcel, let's start with you.
Of course. I knew it. I saw you all Jonny. I was like, come on, give me a second. Okay. I would say Rasmussen P1.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Are you doing the whole 20 drivers?
Could have literally said anything.
Of course he's gone for the one.
No, I think Rasmussen will finish first because he's just so experienced. I think I don't want to disappoint Williams, but I don't think they will finish on the podium.
Okay.
I think it's going to be...
one more? I'll take one more for that
I think Barry's going to be P2 and Otis will be P3. It will be a strong first race for Otis.
Matt, I'll just take your P1.
I was going to say, I thought you might just want my P1. You sure you want 20?
I like the detail.
From the host
It's
of
nice that someone
P1
tries.
with Matt and Tommy, I'll take your P1, please.
I was going to go with Freddie, but I'm not going to be boring. So let's go with Lawrence. Let's go with a rookie winner.
And then, Jakesy, before you take it away, to cast this
Well,
incredible
no,
first
I'll go
round.
for Barry Borman then.
All right,
There we go.
lovely stuff.
What about you, Tom? What about you?
Oh, yeah, hold on a
Who are you
minute.
going for?
Yeah,
Come on.
who are you going
Well,
for?
no, I'm not going to do a
Oh, come on.
prediction. But I'll tell you what I will do. I'm going to get
No
the,
bias from the Deacon.
No, very professional. You will get some chats with the drivers for their predictions and their thoughts for this upcoming race.
Qualifying was great. Had a lot of pressure. I felt like the first session in my career. It was a pretty good session, I think.
Oh, look at that confidence.
Yeah, Otis Lawrence is loving life out there at the moment. That's been one of the stories of the session so far. Otis Lawrence currently working the wheel.
Now it's my first season where I'm in the regulation to be old enough to be in the series. And it's great to start like this. It's a good confidence boost, and we'll see what happens in the race.
Just got my first ever pole in sim racing, so yeah, very happy, and hopefully we can convert it to a win tonight. But obviously everything could happen. This is F1 sim racing, a lot of talented people in here, so yeah, I will give my best. And Australia is actually a track that I like it since they updated it, so
now full focus to the race.
So he has already written him off, Marcel, that's Ismail Fasti, for not getting a podium. Why? And talk to me in terms of that tyre strategy coming up for this race.
I mean, tyre strategy, it's going to be difficult, honestly. I mean, we can see here on the graphics. I think most people will opt for the safer one, medium hard, because if you go for the hard medium, you have the gamble of you need to make the overcut work. And if you lose track position on a track like this, where still overtaking, you have 3 DRS zones, but you need to wait for a driver to make mistakes. And even if you have a little bit fresher tires, I think they are going to be roughly the same. And I don't think we will see anyone go for the soft hard. So the top runners will all go for medium hard. I would be surprised if we see anything else. And it's just going to be a gamble between, is Red Bull maybe pulling the trigger first and sending Freddie in early to get a slight undercut? Then again, he has cold tires. If Williams does a good job then and pushes, if Isma is still in P1, maybe Freddie's actually losing out. So, yeah.
Marcel has covered everything there. The analyst has done pretty much your job, Matt, and Alex for the next moment or two.
Sorry.
Yeah. Do you want to do lap one? That was superb. I'm loving having this guy on the team.
The tyre strategy. Perfect. I'll tell you what, as we get ready and geared up, it is going to be a phenomenal round one around Australia. Matt, it's going to be interesting. Your P1, you're not going with the Freddie Rasmussen boring prediction.
Well, I don't want to be boring on that. I didn't say that Freddie's boring. But no, it was just the fact to go for something different. You know, what a story that would be if Lawrence manages to go from third to first, which is possible. You know, he's got the confidence. We've already seen that from qualifying. So, yeah, I cannot wait for this to get underway.
All right, listen, Alex and Matt, Marcel, we're going to leave. Best of luck. Enjoy this casting of round one of the F1 Sim Racing World Championship 2025.
Thank you very much, Tom Deacon, one of the great throws. It is time for a new season of F1 Sim Racing. We have a mixed up grid compared to where expectations were at the start of the day. Back on the calendar, Melbourne, Australia. 5.2 kilometers, 14 turns. It's 3.2 miles, and we've got DRS zones absolutely everywhere you look. A great overtaking opportunity into turn 1, and even better one potentially into turn 11. This is the back row of the grid when Crozen is next to Caraton. Continuing with Williams, then it's Declan Barrett. He's next to Alfie Butcher, one of the surprises from qualifying, you have to say. Former winner around here is Brendon Leigh. He's 16th. Next up is Nicolas Longuet for Ferrari. Watch out for his race pace. It's rated very highly. Former champion Lucas Blakely is 14th. Then it's Fabrizio Donoso, 13th for Aston Martin. Joni Tourmala is in 12th. He is next to former champion Jarno Opmeer, who goes from P11 on the grid. It's Gao in 10th position. He's next to Tom Manley in P9. Danny Berezne is in 8th place. Thomas Runhar, our runner-up from last year in the championship, going from P7 on the grid. Next up is Josh Edu. He's changed teams and he's in P6. A great rookie effort from Pookie, who is driving for Mercedes. Then it's Barry Borremond in 4th. The rookie, Otis Lawrence, has looked very comfortable so far at this level. Does that continue to the Grand Prix, to the main race? Freddie Rasmussen is the reigning champion. He's on the front row. But what a performance from maiden pole position taker Ismail Fashi is the driver to beat at the start of the year.
I'm so ready for this one, Alex. The start of another season, 2025 F1 Sim Racing World Championship. What an ominous look for the rest of them that Freddie Rasmussen is starting the season strong on the front row of the grid. Alongside Ismail Fassi, you could see what it meant to him. Slamming the stage. You could feel the vibrations as he was celebrating that pole position. Otis Lawrence as well. He wants it. I mean, Marcel was saying he's willing to grind the hours, and that's what you need in this series. You cannot take anything for granted. There's Lucas Blakely. He's going to be disappointed with that qualifying, but what can he do from 14th? He is a champion. He knows how to win. There's just so much pedigree in this field, Alex. I'm ready for it.
It is an intriguing grid in an entire championship stacked with talent. Who steps forward? Who can turn a bad qualifying into a good result? That might mean improving 5 positions. It might mean turning outside of the top 10 to a point-scoring finish. It might mean recovering, if you're someone like Thomas Ronhaar, to a podium. And then, are we going to see the drivers who don't usually find themselves in that position, like Fassi, go more aggressive than Rasmussen, who has built his entire career on consistency and knowing when to attack and when not to go for 50-50 moves?
It's no luck that Rasmussen has got pretty much every single record in the book, and the fact that he's on the front row of the grid here, he knows, right? We've seen so many times he doesn't need the limelight, he doesn't need to lead the race straight from the get-go. He knows when to pick and choose his moments, whether it's the last lap of the race. I can remember so many occasions where he's left it to the very last minute. Will he be in second place come the final lap? Australia's not necessarily the track you want to be following on the final lap of the race, because it's quite difficult to overtake. But here we go!
Here come the lights! The new season is underway. Fassi from pole leads us away. Can he keep it down into turn number 1? The Williams man will lead us into turn number 1 of the season. Freddie Rasmussen fighting to keep Lawrence behind, and Lawrence is still in P3. The top 3 off the line as they were. Barry Borman trying to put the pressure on in the Scarlet Ferrari. Can't find his way through. Super opening lap for everyone so far. That's bold around the outside from Ronhaar. He's gained a couple of positions. He's gained even more now. He roars past to take P4. He's the big winner on lap number 1.
Look at Ronhaar from 7th on the grid up to 4th already, mounting a challenge for this championship. He is not sticking around as he's up to P4 already. Barry's now coming under pressure from Pookie, the rookie, up to 6th as well. We're now taking a look a little bit further back. Lucas Blakely, of course, previous champion, has not made any positions up in 14th place.
Ismail Fassi got the start he wanted to under big pressure. They had a long time to think about that in the arena. We are nose to tail on the opening lap of the new season. Williams ahead of Red Bull, ahead of Aston Martin. That is a dive to the inside for Brendon Leigh. 2 champions going wheel to wheel against each other. And the man who started off the title party many years ago finds himself ahead of the McLaren man, and he's moved up a couple of positions from where he started this Grand Prix. He's now put P14 as we go over the line, and it's Fassi. Then we've got Rasmussen, Lawrence, but look at that, up 3 places, playing himself back into contention, Thomas Ronhaar.
Gotta love to see that from Brendon Leigh as well. 14th now, up a couple of positions, and I just get the feeling that he's just going to enjoy this one. And that was a move to the inside on Blakely, which was a great move from Brendon. But we'll take a look a little bit further forward and look at Otis Lawrence, just starting to stalk the back of Freddie Rasmussen and that Red Bull. In this new game, the dirty air is quite difficult in that sort of 2 to 3/10 window. So they're going to want to make the move pretty quickly if they do tend to get that close. Pookie's quite close to Brumand as well, as you can see. 1.5 tenths separating those two as we ride on board with Ronhaar. And the front 3 looking eager to potentially get away.
The top 9 on medium tyres for this race, the opening one of the year. And we're running deep. Ronhaar is into turn 11. He's not leaving any margin at all. You consider these cars are fat with fuel compared to the configuration that we saw earlier on. Lockups here, there and everywhere that you see. A great opening couple of laps for the Williams driver out front. He's got that gap up to 4.5 tenths of a second. And the fastest lap being traded all the way back down. And Barry Borremund with the fastest lap out there on that medium tyre. Highest hard runner in the order is Tom Manley, who lost a position off the line. Remember, you do get more grip off the line when you run the softer compound available. So those out of the top 10 going for the opposite strategy. No one going for anything ludicrously bold involving a soft tyre. Everyone in the field on a medium and a hard.
Still keep an eye on Lawrence here, very close to Freddie Rasmussen still, trying to see if there's an opportunity to promote himself up into P2. This is where a rookie, of course, he's shown his prowess so far, but will he be able to pick and choose his moves wisely? Lucas is trying to get back here on Brendon Leigh. Be a move and a half to try it through this fast left right-hander. Decides against it this time, but Lucas 15th place at the moment.
Close at the front. It's got to 0.08 of a second there under braking for turn 11. So Rasmussen just getting that first run as he made his way out of the DRS zone. We're checking in and we're watching the battle with Lucas Blakely. These two champions would not have been expecting this start to the season. We go back to the front of the field. Lawrence chasing Rasmussen. Rasmussen chasing Fassi out front on lap 4 of 29, and we're on board with the man on debut hassling the champion for P2.
And he looks cool as a cucumber. Take a look at him, bottom right, Otis Lawrence, brand new to the series. And you can see Freddie Rasmussen charging some ERS there with the flashing red light on the back of the Red Bull. And you've got to wonder just how hard is Freddie Rasmussen pushing. We didn't get to see it there, but he got within 0.08 of Fassi. And as I mentioned before the start of the show, Freddie's never usually that eager to just fly past. He knows when to make those moves, when to just save some battery, as Otis gets ever so close once again. DRS now wide open as we head towards him. Once again, the fast left-right. Let's see if we watch. Look at the threading of the needle. It's brilliant stuff.
Super bravery. Is there a chance for a change of lead? Is there a need for a change of lead?
Decided against it.
That's what we were talking about pre-race with Freddie Rasmussen. He's a driver who plays the percentages. He's got a huge amount of points. He's got a huge amount of wins to show for it. He knows he's up against a driver who has never won in the championship before. It is super close. We'd expect nothing less. On lap 4 of 29, you are on board with second, looking at third in the opening stages of the season. The story of the opening lap, all about the driver in 4th place. Thomas Ronhaar getting that initial launch and then able to tough it out around the outside of turn number 3.
We just had a fastest lap from 20th position, which shows you exactly how hard these drivers out front are pushing. They're just in conservation mode at the moment. Freddie Rasmussen is going to have to be a little bit careful, it has to be said. As much as he's managing that P2, you've got an eager rookie of Otis Lawrence who absolutely wants to get through here and make a name for himself. So as much as Freddie's looking ahead, he's also going to be checking in his mirrors.
You hear the beep in the driver's ear to tell them they've got DRS. Is there about to be a change of lead? No need at this stage. We heard from Marcel Kiefer, driver who used to be in this field, our expert analyst, saying that if you get your exit wrong there, if the car bottoms out, you could be vulnerable into this turn. Turn 11, no opportunity at the moment, but this is what we love about F1 sim racing. It is on the line all the way through. You are one lockup away from tumbling out of the points.
Leigh and Blakely got through on Tormula just then, and Caraton's just been overtaken by Barrett as well. Brendon Leigh up to P13, Blakely 14th. But yes, it's you can see as well just there with Thomas Ronhaar just pulling out of the slipstream, cooling down the car and the engine, making sure not to overheat anything, which will cause a top speed loss if you just continue to sit in this train of cars. Freddie Rasmussen once again doesn't make the move, but just look at the gaps. The entire field on lap 6 are in DRS of each other. Fassi is leading a train like you would see in Monaco in real life, where they would just be 5-6 seconds a lap slower. Probably not that slow, but this is just so conservative right now. We could see an aggressive strategy from a driver, middle of the pack, and they could leapfrog a lot.
The one I'm looking at specifically here, Matt, Nicolas Longuet. They've been talking up. Let's just check down in to 9 and 10. No opportunity. And again, if you risk it into 9 and 10, the fast chicane that you're looking at the moment, you get it wrong, it's a race ender. You're done and dusted. But does someone with proven pace here pull the trigger and go for something aggressive, because
I'm starting to see some just aggressive little looks now.
Yeah.
I feel like some drivers are starting to get agitated, because as much as it's great for Fassi, Rasmussen, Lawrence, maybe even Ronha, the drivers behind that, they need to make a move in this train. They can't just sit there for the entire race. So as much as it might feel a little bit frustrating watching this, like, come on, go for the move. Just look at that image. It's ridiculous.
it truly is, even by the standards of F1 sim racing across all of these years. The entire field spread, no, we don't do that here. We just do close racing, nose to tail. Interesting tactics out front. Rasmussen will not be flustered by any of this at all. Lawrence looking very at home in the championship. Ronha, can he put any of the pressure on? Tell you what, Lawrence is really... He said to us afterwards, after qualifying, that there were a few tenths left on the table in Sector 1. He's not leaving anything on the table in Sector 1. He's hyper-aggressive through the first few corners. Looking back, is there a chance here?
I like the way Freddie, I don't think he's going to go for the move this time. Just again, he's just conserving that P2 position. He fell back from Fassi about half a second out of that first sector, so he could then push. But look at Lawrence!
The chance on debut. Lawrence tries to go for the move. Change of lead. Freddie Rasmussen gets by. Fassi is passed. And who got P3? Side by side we go. The reigning world champion hits the front of the field, but who will be third? He's not going to go around the outside again, is he? The outside line becomes the inside line for Thomas Ronha, who's gained another position as Freddie Rasmussen hits the front and takes the lead.
It is pass or be passed right now, Alex. Freddie Rasmussen, I don't know if he even wanted the lead, but he had to, because Lawrence was on his outside, and then there was Ronha as well. So Freddie Rasmussen leads. Can he break away? That would be quite some accomplishment, as you can see. Still very close indeed, as we have a change there with Gal and Otmir for P10. Otmir potentially going for the move there, but at the front, it's not the end of the world for Lawrence. He's lost the position. Just keep his head. He's a rookie, it's fine, but he's got experience. He's done a lot of racing. It's just in this LAN event, F1 sim racing, you've got to keep your head.
Intriguingly as well, Ronha seems to have a confidence and power application around the outside that no one else has. He's gone around the outside of multiple drivers. He started 7th on the grid. He's now 3rd. Immaculate car placement when it mattered. He's got himself into a podium position. That would have been his aim at the start of the day, but he's done it without the use of strategy, still with the strategic cards to play.
Yeah, I don't think he's done there either. Ronha, his sights are fully set on Rasmussen. You know, last year they came so close. What a brilliant ending we saw in 2024. As here we go, look, so Rasmussen had to pass Fassi, as much as he probably didn't want to with all of his strategy, but he takes the lead anyway. Fassi doesn't really fight it, and then you have Ronha and Lawrence fighting side by side for the next couple of corners. Ronha beautifully making that move, but yeah, it's still absolutely game on. Lap 9, so we haven't seen, well, perhaps we haven't seen a pit stop. Danny Beresnay coming in very early indeed, and he's gone on to the hard tyres. So what's Danny in the Mercedes attempting to do there?
So Danny Beresnay coming in. I believe he was P8 in the order when he came in. So he's gone super early. He's the one who pulls the trigger. Does everyone now feel the need around him to cover it off, or are they going to let him choose his own adventure and see how it unfolds?
We didn't read the graphic, did he? No, it was lap 12 that Marcel recommended. Danny said absolutely not. Lap 9, thank you very much.
Going lap 9. Well, if you're finding yourself out of contention and you believe that something audacious is possible, then that is your answer. You are looking at the train of cars that occupy the head of the lead. Freddie Rasmussen up a place. Fassi is down 1 for Williams. Ronha has been on the charge. Super impressive stint.
Oh, look
and
at
we're
this.
all pouring in. So we asked the question, would everyone respond? The answer is yes. Get rid of those medium tyres as soon as possible. And there are a huge amount of pit stops going on out front. We continue on to lap 10. We have a new leader leading on debut, Pookie in the Mercedes. Nicely done for him. He's on the medium tyre, but so many medium runners, Matt, coming in to the pits. And Danny Beresnay, according to our graphic there, has vaulted up past Fassi, past Ronha, and he's only behind Rasmussen for the net race lead.
Goodness gracious me, no wonder they reacted there. That's a 1 lap tyre difference.
There you go.
And Beresnay's here.
Well, that is incredible stuff. So really making that tyre offset work, and that will be crucial information. The teams clearly suspected that it was going to give you a lot because they all responded immediately, but who pulled the trigger first? Absolutely vital. And on lap 10 of 29, we find ourselves with Manley out front, but yet to stop. And then Pukki, and then Otmir, and Donoso and Blakely, but still out front for the moment. We find ourselves ready to continue the race with the net race lead, and going around the outside and trying to force his way by, and he does get by! Fassi retakes that position. Freddie Rasmussen in a great position a few moments ago, passed by 2.
Beresnay now leads this train. A net race lead for Danny Beresnay, and that's just the part and parcel of what happened with how close they all were. Freddie Rasmussen gets close, but does decide to not go for it into turn 1. Wouldn't be wise, probably. But they were just so close, weren't they? We were saying the top 20 were all within DRS of each other as we continue to fight down into this right-hander. So Beresnay has pulled an absolute blinder.
There is an undercut, and there is what we've just witnessed from Danny Beresnay. What? What has gone on there? He has found himself launching up the order. He's made that outlet work and then some. And then not only that, Rasmussen has lost a couple of positions there. He finds himself on the back foot. He finds himself looking at Thomas Ronha. Sometimes drivers can get on with different compounds in different ways, but a twist in a race, in an event, Matt, you have to say, well, we're getting nothing but surprises.
I think what we saw earlier on in the race was when Croson, he set the fastest lap of the race in P20.
Yeah.
So it just showed the pace of the pack wasn't very fast. Danny thought, right, I'll take a lap earlier stop. He may have even thought it would have been a 2 or 3 lap earlier stop. And he just sent it. He probably just deployed all of his energy, went full attack, and look at the jump he got, because it's a fast racetrack, Alex. So this isn't on paper, a track that you would get a huge undercut on. It's only a 1:14 in qualifying.
Yeah.
And yet Danny has just pulled a blinder. It's a brilliant move from Mercedes and Danny Beresnay.
It would be a story if he can carry on this run. He heads the train of cars that have pitted in this contest. And on lap 12 and 29, he is just working on, and he's been in this position before multiple times, but this would be a story. He started P8 on the grid at a track where it is notoriously difficult. But we asked the question, when this was all going on, is there an opportunity for a change in the battle for net second place? Freddie Rasmussen trying to retake the position here. No opportunity at this stage. He was able to get past Ismail Fassi earlier on into turn 11. It looked to be the defining move of the race, but the pit stop strategy has played its part, and he's not able to make a move at this stage. But we did ask the question, if you're not in the prime position, was there an opportunity to roll the dice and come in early? And so many out there will be kicking themselves that they didn't take that chance. There are so many out of the top 10 that started on that hard tyre, have the option to go to the softer rubber later on. Really intriguingly poised right now.
Yeah, let's see what happens with Pukki, for example, because Pukki stayed with essentially the recommended strategy that we thought they were going to do. He's just pit now onto the hard tyres. He's 1.1 off the back of the train with 3-lap fresher tyres. So if Pukki can start to make some moves, perhaps we will reflect in 16 laps' time that it wasn't the greatest thing to pit on lap 9. But you'd imagine with the amount of teams deciding that, they think it's possible. As we are now taking a look at Jarno Otmir, of course, let's not forget there are hard tyre runners out there as well. Manley, Otmir, Blakely, Butcher, all working together. Nicholas Longuet in that pack as well. You'll see, Jarno's not going to go for the move of this essentially race lead, but won't be the net race lead. These guys, it's a time trial. They are trying to minimise the loss on this hard tyre at the moment so they can go full attack on the mediums when they decide to pit.
And it'll be brilliant to watch. Wherever you're watching this one around the world, wonderful to have your company. It looks dramatic if you look at the drivers' starting positions gained, but they have yet to stop. There you go, Danny Beresnay leading the field of drivers who have yet to stop. His inspired decision taken with the team to pull the trigger early, to come in for that first stop, to get the fresh rubber first, paying off as it stands, with a net race lead. A race that was controlled from the start by our pole sitter, Ismail Fassi, taking his maiden pole in qualifying earlier on. A great opening stint, but then Freddie Rasmussen working his way to the front. At that stage, you were thinking, oh, this one might be done. Far from it. Bold strategy call has changed the complexion of this one. A man who's been able to pass around this notoriously difficult circuit is Thomas Ronhaar, and we're looking at the runner-up from last year's championship at the moment.
Pookie's made a position up in P16 and is well within this train now with much fresher tyres. So let's keep an eye on the Mercedes driver, the rookie, as the race unfolds, because he's going to look quite good compared to the rest of this this train in terms of tyre life and degradation. As we now flip to the other side, the hard tyre runners, Lucas Blakely being one of them that we're taking a look at right now, both the McLarens in fact, as we now have some pit stops from Manley and Otmere, and neither of the McLarens deciding to pit, and of course they won't be able to pit at the same time because they'd have to double stack. So we have a McLaren 1-2 at the moment, but unfortunately if you are a McLaren Shadow fan, neither of them have pit yet.
Tell you what, at the start of the year, if you didn't know anything that had happened at the start of the day and you just pressed play and you saw Blakely and Butcher out front, you would have thought absolutely possible.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's not worked out for them in terms of qualifying performance earlier in the day. And earlier on we saw Butcher P17 on the grid. Lucas Blakely lined up at P14,
defending.
and now the defence begins. How well placed is this? Because you can make a case for the top three, the top four, who have made their stops already, being contenders here. Danny Beresnay will know that many chances like this to vault yourself out of a tricky qualifying and get to the very front of the field, this just does not happen week in, week out, and it looks super close behind as well. Is the world champion able to surge past for what would be net second place? They continue to run millimetres apart.
It's fascinating to watch how they are calculating. Like Fassi there, calculating that sort of half a second gap so that he can then slipstream and slingshot to the back of Danny Beresnay without actually passing him. There's so many bit of puzzle games here going on, but Fassi doing it beautifully well. Rasmussen got within about 0.08 of a second there, as in the background we have a little battle there, I believe, was Ido and Gal, as we now have the rest of the hard tyre runners coming in, apart from Longuet and Butcher, who continue on.
Yeah, they're just running and running and running and continuing, but this will be our battle for the lead, for the win. And you can see 11 seconds away. So even with the fresher tyres, Longuet and Butcher, we've got a time advantage at the moment. Ronhaar going the long way round. That was going to be audacious. It looked like it was impossible, and then in the end on the brakes it was.
That looked like a double overtake, and it ended up with none of them.
Oh, dearie me, if he'd pulled that one off, it would be one for the all-time highlight reel of F1 sim racing. He has been so confident to send it around the outside today.
He really has. Here's Fassi 7/10 behind, but just look how quickly he catches Beresnay down this straight, and then all of a sudden we're back together again.
Fight and refight, or is it tactics and tactics again, trying to keep it calm towards the end of the race?
The Manley and Otmere, take a look at that. They have entered the train now, from the hards to the mediums, so they will be very quick indeed. So keep an eye on their progress. 13th and 14th. They are the front runners of the hard tyre runner at the beginning of the race.
Well, the key moment of this entire contest could come down as Danny Beresnay finally takes the overall race lead. The man who started 8th on the grid, rolled the dice with the strategy. Has he rolled P1? He is trying to build a gap. But is the crucial moment going to be putting a couple of cars between Freddie Rasmussen and the race lead? Not that you'd know it was a couple of cars, because you can see the race lead. It's all of about 4 metres in front of it.
Have a listen to this, Alex. This is the pace that Danny Beresnay is putting down. A 1:19.2 last time out. Jarno Otmere, a 1:17.5.
Wow.
That's the pace that they can do. But now Otmere is stuck in this train as Rasmussen. Is he going to now go for the look round the outside?
Oh, that is such a risk at this stage. Look at how much everyone is catching our race leader into 9, into 10. And now we send it down to the place where you've got to be brave on the brakes if you want to make a pass. We're looking back from Freddie Rasmussen. Can Fassi do anything about Danny Beresnay out front, trying to return to the winner's circle today. It is really, really intense in this arena right now, and the reason is that there's nothing between the two of them. Tom Manley up to P9. He just got past Gal in the Haas.
Yeah, Tom Manley's making some good progress. Now has a car between, well, not anymore. Otmir's just got up to P10 as well. Oh, this is going to be fascinating. 11 laps to go. We've got to fight into turn 1 there with Barry Brumand getting past Pookie up to P6. I'm hearing comms everywhere as well, Alex. There's all kinds of argy-bargy going on out there.
Everyone's animated right now because there is opportunity for so many in the field. Some don't have track position but have fresher tyres. Others out front rolled the dice, got the reward of P1 on lap 18 of 29. Yes, you get DRS multiple times around this circuit, but it's only really effective in one part of the lap. If you're looking for a mistake, you might have to look elsewhere, because these are the very best at this game in the world. A special championship build for the F1 Sim Racing Championship. They have practiced hour after hour after hour, and implausibly on lap 18, they're glued together. You can chuck a blanket over them, and this really is incredible stuff to start the year. Is there an opportunity late on the brakes? Who's got the move there? Josh Edo looking for the move. Barry Burrament trying to power past. Barry Burrament in the Ferrari, trying to stay on the front foot. It's getting frantic right now.
Yeah, Pookie's got back past him. So Pookie back up to P6 after the Ferrari driver got through, and now all of a sudden Josh Edo smells a bit of blood there and tried to move on Barry, but didn't manage it that time. Tom Manley is on the back of this couple of cars as well. P9 with Manley as Carreton and Barry are going, well, they've changed position about 5 times there on the timing screen. But we continue to focus on the rear of Barry. Oh, there's all kinds of smoke and lockups coming into this right-hander as we now right on board with Josh Edo, P8 at the moment. And you can see Barry in the bottom right, Wavara Carreton down in 14th. That's not really going to affect his result. Gets a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting. So easy to do here with the track limits and how fast you go through some of these corners. The middle sector in particular, the beep as Barry opens his DRS. It is so finely poised. Importantly, Manley and Otmir, they haven't made any more positions up with 10 laps to go on the fresher mediums.
Well, that was always going to be the problem, wasn't it? Like, if ever there was a circuit, I think Monaco's right up there, but if ever there was a circuit where you want track position first, oh, it's getting really tight now. Manley trying to fight through. Josh Edo as well, hanging on to 7th position, but it's getting frantic now. Jarno Otmir in 9th, Manley in 8th, Edo in 7th, Pookie, the rookie, started this race in 5th, went for the traditional strategy, has an offset compared to those ahead. 6th position at this stage, on board with Tom Manley.
The charge is on. Oh, we've seen a bit of a mistake there from Edu. It's not going to be close enough for Manley this time. I don't think Otmir, is he going to go for the move? These two are working together a lot with these medium tyres. Otmir's going to go round the outside, which will be the inside line for the next corner. He decides against it. He knows this is a time trial as much as it is positions right now. They need to dispatch of these much more worn tyres ahead of them.
Door was always getting closed in his face. You've got to be wheel to wheel if you're going to get through there and you're going to make the pass. That looked dramatic stuff as we joined Lucas Blakely, driver who's made his way through to 10th position. Seeing the scrapping ahead, you can see the 2 penalties with the graphic on the right-hand side for Carreton and for his teammate, Alfie Butcher, in 15th. Lucas Blakely, a champion a couple of years ago. There are 0.2 of a second for the lead. Can Rasmussen launch a late charge and continue that winning feeling after claiming the championship at the end of last season?
Manley's dispatched Edu now, up to P7 is Manley now. This is going to be tight, you know. Danny Beresnay is leading this field with 1 lap older tyres than the rest of them. They're going to start fighting towards the end. Manley and Otmir, they're not out of the shot for a podium with 8 laps to go, as Otmir now shapes and has a little move, or perhaps just cooling down the car. He's still in 9th, still has a car to dispatch with Edu ahead. Manley in a very good position.
He really is. And there's another opportunity. Josh Edu putting the pressure on. Further up as Pookie got past Lawrence with those fresher tyres. Still we continue on fighting. Lucas Blakely trying to get the run, but you'll be brave if you get a nose down the inside there. Interesting move for Pookie now, up to 5th position. Past Otis Lawrence, still having a very strong debut here. But remember, Pookie's highest place for those with a slightly fresher tyre. One thing to get yourself to 5th as we go on board with Joris Krozen, who's able to get by, and that's 15th position. Tidy move.
This is so beautifully poised, Alex. You've got Pookie on the freshest tyres of the top 5. You've got Manley on the mediums, flying. Ron Haas and Fred Rasmussen, they're battling.
They're battling for 3rd place at the moment. Ron Ha and Rasmussen are top 2 in the championship last year.
He's got him.
Looks like he's got him. There's the picture to tell you that he has. Thomas Ronha continues. He's overtaking.
But look at Pookie. Look at Pookie. He's right on Freddie.
And there's another opportunity. Will he get there? He's to the inside. He's going through. The rookie making waves in qualifying was Lawrence. The rookie making waves in the race is Pookie, with fresher tyres, with an opportunity to get past the couple ahead of him as well. It's getting so scrappy, with the cars getting loose here, and Freddie Rasmussen is down to 5th.
Lawrence tried to get Rasmussen as well. He's 45 degrees coming out of that corner. But Freddie Rasmussen just about holds on to P5. He's getting swallowed up at the moment. He's going to be looking in his rear view mirror for Manley and Otmir as well, but Pookie is in the pound positions right now.
Take your pre-season expectations, chuck them in the shredder. This has been a race for the ages. The 2 Mercedes, one has the lead, one has the best strategy at this stage because of those fresher tyres. Matt, you said earlier, as Barry Borman sees that he's got a 3-second time penalty and lets out a groan of despair. The Ferraris believe they'd be quick around this configuration. It's not worked out for them at the moment. And Berezne is ahead of Fassi, ahead of Ronha, and then Pookie with that tyre offset. You said in the middle of it, he was the one going for the traditional strategy. So many in the field responded to what Berezne did. One Mercedes, super bold, went early. The other one went the traditional route, and they've got one car on the attack and one car with the lead as we move into the latter stages of a brilliant season opener.
You kind of wonder if Mercedes had this as their master plan. Danny, go really early, lead the field, manage the pace, let Pookie go much longer. I'm not sure if they wondered as we've got battling ahead. Manley and Otmir, that is. That's crucial. That's the battle for the fastest medium runner.
Oh, that is
that's close.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from both of them to get through. Otmir first, then Blakely after Manley was shuffled off the racing line. Huge speed, huge commitment. And now Otmir is the lead runner who did the alternative strategy. And one of our reigning champions in the field, up to 7th. Is it me, or do the moves feel on the ragged edge around this circuit?
It really is. I mean, they're sideways anyway as Fabrizio Donoso gets a penalty, and Lucas Blakely trying to defend from not 1, but 2 cars behind. Longuet's now passing Manley. Manley's lost 3 positions almost in 1 lap. They continue to battle, but that's Ronha. Ronha now fighting Pookie for P3.
Pookie with that fresher tyre. Pookie on debut, but you wouldn't know it because he is all over the road and attacking all the time. Look at the grip he's got out of the corner, inching closer all the time. How brave is he feeling on the brakes? Waits for another opportunity, conjures the lock-up. Ahead, Ronha now trying to go on the attack. Danny Berezne trying to continue that winning feeling in the Sim Racing Championship. Oh, that is so late on the brakes. Can you get to the apex first? Can you fight your way by? Lawrence and Rasmussen, super close, and Lawrence takes P5. Otmir gets past Rasmussen as well.
It looked like Lawrence pushed Rasmussen wide slightly there, and now he's being under attack from Blakely as well. How's Rasmussen gonna do? He's under a lot of threat right now.
Rasmussen, who started from the front row. Blakely, who started from 14th. What is going on out there? An extraordinary race at a circuit where sometimes qualifying defines absolutely everything. It is pass, it is repass, it is elbows out, and it is a changed game. The man who, when he got past Ismail Fassi earlier on, Freddie Rasmussen, looked in a great position to win this one, finds himself being shuffled back, and we go again. They're banging wheels into turn 11. Extraordinary stuff.
Rasmussen's down to 9th.
How on earth has Rasmussen faded to 9th position? Incredible. Carreton trying to make it even worse. Carreton does have the penalty, by the way, so that's a pass on track, but not for the overall position.
Now Alfie's got him as well. Freddie's out of the points right now. Both of them do have penalties, but Rasmussen's got Manley behind him, who's on faster tyres.
Rasmussen's race has faded away. It's Danny Berezne looking for a return to victory. Fassi trying to take his maiden win in the championship. Ronhard trying to take advantage of a tough day. And further back, the man who started at the very back, Crozen, trying to get on the front foot, trying to get ahead. They're fishtailing all over the road. And they're getting ruder and ruder to each other as we get towards the end.
Alex, do you remember when we used to commentate and we thought, 2 laps of action, that's an absolute thriller. What is going on this year?
They're barging wheels all the time. Any of the top 3 could still win this one. Ronhard looking for that opportunity. Ronhard looking for the move to set up a grandstand finish and try and beat Dani Berezney's epic strategy call.
Berezney's going to want to hold on, surely, with 4 laps to go. But can he do it? He's got the oldest tyres of the bunch. He went for that aggressive strategy, the aggressive undercut. It's worked for now. Even if he loses a position or 2, it's still a blinding strategy from the Mercedes team. Let's not forget about Pookie either. He is still there with the freshest tyres of the lot. Otmir's charge has slowed down a little bit now in P6 on those mediums. And here we go again.
It never seems to end. Mercedes ahead of Williams, ahead of Kick, ahead of Mercedes. All in contention. Otis Lawrence with that barging move. Ronhard trying to make sure that Pookie doesn't start his sim racing career with a podium. Stays ahead for the moment. It really does feel like it's all going to come down to whether Ronhard can clear the Williams ahead of him. If he can't do that, he's surely going to be vulnerable towards the end. If he can do that, can he put the pressure on? The gap out front climbs to a mammoth for sim racing 0.7 of a second.
And that will be 2 by the end of this straight. Watch this. Here we go. Fassi using the slipstream and the DRS to his advantage to defend from behind. And once again, the battle for the lead is very much on. When does Fassi decide to take the move? In the background there was, I believe that was Otmir and potentially Blakely. But either way, we continue on. Ronhard a little bit wide there, missing the apex ever so slightly, but gets away with it. You're starting to see the tyre wear now. It's towards the end of the stint, 3 laps to go.
Oh, who's feeding? Oh, spinning! Down the order, Nicholas Longuet going hyper-aggressive. I'm amazed that's the first time that has happened. Locking up, they have been on the brink like that all the way through. And that all locked up into the penultimate corner of the racetrack. Meanwhile, heading out of turn 2, we're on lap 27 of 29. You're looking at the 3rd place driver in this frantic battle, in this epic battle to claim the win. Whoever gets it today is going to be leaping round the room. This one, whoever gets it has really been made to sweat for it. Ronhard trying to find a way past Fassi, who has driven brilliantly up against the top 2 in the World Championship from last year. But this incredible strategic call from Mercedes has given them an opportunity here. Pookie going really well on debut as well, as is Otis Lawrence. And now we continue on with the man who has plied his trade for so many years at the very front of the field, faded back in recent times. This would mean the world to Dani Berezney.
Oh, it really would. We'd need to give him a microphone, I'm sure. Well, he sung on this series many years ago. I'm sure he might sing again if he's able to bring home the victory. It'd be an emotional one as well. We know how much it means to him. That's Pookie shaping for a move on Ronhard.
He's confident in that part of it. He's really, really confident into turn 13. And there are different levels of confidence into turn 13. That's why you're getting so many lockups. That's why you had Longuet all crossed up there under braking. Look at this.
1 lap to go, Alex. What is going on?
Penultimate lap of the race. Is there a chance for a change of positions? That's the best car placement for a while. Slewing into the side of the kick and still continuing on. Pookie trying to apply the pressure. Still Ronhard, not at all worried about it whatsoever, and he continues to push on. Berezney, Fassi and Ronhard, your top 3 as we come to the end of an epic race, a race that has seen strategic calls, side-by-side moments, elbows out, wheel banging at high speed. And is there a chance? Will Ronha go all in for the win by trying a dive bomb move into the very next corner.
He's going to need to, otherwise Fassi may well be the favourite to win this. Fassi's just been monitoring and managing this P2 until the last lap. Danny Beresnay's had a pretty easy job of it in the grand scheme of everyone else, but he won't on this final lap as we ride on board with him. It will mean so much to Danny Beresnay if he can hold on for one more lap around this Albert Park circuit. Alex, the final corner, we are starting the final lap. Bring it on.
14 turns to go.
Danny for the last couple of laps.
Longgate getting information further back, but you're on board with the race leader. Does Fassi have a late show? Does he have an attack to try and force his way by? He's got some options to play with. The palms will be sweating. The heart will be pounding. Is it going to be a first ever victory in the championship for Fassi? Is it going to be a return to victory for Danny Beresnay after a strategic call for the ages? One lockup away from losing a place on the podium. One wide moment away from inviting a couple of cars by. It's all on the line as we head down the back straight.
Fassi's going to have a great opportunity. This could be it. Fassi around the outside!
Fassi goes around the outside and he's played it to perfection. Ronha steaming through as well. Oh, they make contact at massive speed. An amazing moment. Pookie is up to second position. Beresnay's chances of victory fade at the very end, and it's Lawrence who's going to be on the podium on debut. Can you believe what we've just seen at the end? At high speed to roar around the outside to take P1 on the last lap, and the man who started on pole is going to win it, but that won't tell you the story. What a performance for Ismail Fassi, who crosses the line. Fassi wins the opening race of the year. And yes, my friend, you're a sim racing winner. He converts pole to the win with a move for P1 on the last lap. And Williams have something to smile about at last. Look at the emotion. That is absolutely extraordinary. One of the best races we have ever seen. Fassi got to the win. Pookie got to second on debut, and that at the very end was a brilliant, brilliant move. Beresnay coming home in third place according to my timing screen, but who knows what just happened there, because that was a blur, a complete and utter blur.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, both for Fassi and for everybody at home. That was scintillating. Going into the last lap of the race, I believe 19 drivers were in DRS of each other. We had a last lap shootout. Fassi was so calm, so cool, so collected, and he is an F1 sim racing winner.
Wow, incredible. He got the job done, he got the move complete. He waited, he bided his time. In the end, it did come down to whether Ronha could clear him. You wanted to be P2 at the end, and the flag will be lifted. Williams Esports are partying, they are celebrating. Incredible stuff.
I can't believe that. Ronha down to 6th at the end. Lawrence was going around the outside for P3, ended P5, with only a few corners to go. Otmir managed 4th. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that one as well. You got a feel for Danny Beresnay. Of course, he was leading up until that final lap, but he knew he was under a lot of pressure down that straight. He was, Ronha went for an aggressive move. I wonder if the stewards will be looking at that one. But
I loved how aggressive it was. None of this sitting in the train, none of this whinging afterwards. Leave it all out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, really aggressive, really impressive from the entire field. That just upended all expectations. But to lose your position, crucial for him in the pit stop phase to fight back past Freddie Rasmussen, because that gave him the options that just wouldn't have been there. It meant that he was unsettled in a way that he wouldn't have been. And look, he's got his flag, he's a winner, and he's taken his opportunity with both hands.
And what's the best thing of all, We got 3 events of this. We've got so many races. No, that was round 1, Tom.
I'm there. I mean, listen, I was sat down just to the side of the desk watching you guys cast on something, just not knowing what the next level was going to be. The race just took you guys to another level. And that, I mean, why it's such incredible scenes at Williams. 7 seasons when we've had the Constructors title as part of this. That is Williams' first ever win. It's not just about Ismail Fassi, who's got his first ever win as an F1 sim racing driver. It's also Williams. 7 seasons it's taken with the likes of Alvaro Carreton. Daniele Haddad's another name that comes to mind of drivers that have been part of that, even Shanaki Clay.
Yeah.
And yet, Ismail Fassi is the guy. Last season, coming in as a rookie, his highest place finish happened twice in Jeddah and Abu Dhabi, 3rd place, making it to the podium. And he's just having a moment. And the tears, the emotion, that's what it's all about. Can we just cut there? Should we come back tomorrow for China and Bahrain, or should we break it down a little bit? Because I tell you what, there is so much to break it down in that race. I tell you what, Matt, let's start with that Dani Beresnay. I felt like I'd made a stat there and made a note. His last win came in Brazil 2019. He had 2 more wins to add to that in Spa and Monza in the 2019 season. I mean, he was so close, but he was on such old tyres compared to the rest of them.
I mean, he was on 1 lap older tyres, which in the grand scheme of things you wouldn't think is much, but it's still, you know, a little bit of a pace difference. But the problem was he was leading, and he decided that that was what he was going to do. Probably because, well, he's right there and he's looking reasonably happy, and I'm sure we'll get to speak to him a little bit later. But Danny, he made a great call there, and the team did as well. You know, he started 8th.
Yeah.
He was leading the race until the last lap, finishes 3rd. That's still a gain. That's a net gain of 5 positions. They'll take that every day of the week.
And teammate Pookie showing what he's about. Also, technically, another rookie. He was part of the Challenger Series back in 2019, but he steps in and shows what he's about. There's a lot of confident drivers out there, and you mentioned it several times about Thomas Ronhaar. The car positioning and so many of those wide overtakes, phenomenal.
I've rarely got to the end of a race in this great championship and looked at the screen and gone, are you sure? Because that doesn't feel like what we commentated on for the grand majority of the race. He was brilliant in his overtaking. He was able to make moves stick around the outside that no one else was able to. But I've never seen it that fractious. I've never seen it that aggressive and loose. I think from lap 20 onwards, they were overtaking like they hated each other, which is great for our point of view. Of course. But
the stewards, not so. They are going to have a lot of work to do.
Bad luck to them.
I was going to say, the broadcast will end. The stewards will be here probably till about 5 a.m.
Yeah, just right, we're ready to go with Bahrain. They've just finished. They've just finished China. But that's what we love. And I think when we were going into that race, I remembered, I was like, hang on a minute, we haven't really spoken about the battle between Thomas Ronhaar and Freddie Rasmussen. I was like, oh, that's really remiss of me. We should have spoken about that. It was beginning to happen. I don't know what happened in the last couple of laps with Freddie Rasmussen just dropping right out of it.
We got barged out of the way at one point, didn't
he? Did. Well, I think it was Lawrence.
I think it was Lawrence, probably turn 4. It's pretty blurry at this stage.
We'll get Marcel with a touchpad. I'm sure he has many replays.
But there was contact there, and we cut to it, and he was off the racing line significantly. That's where I think he lost a ton of places and had no opportunity to regroup.
I tell you what, I hope you're Spanish. I did it at GCSE, so I should be all right with our race winner coming to join us on the desk.
That one.
But let's go back a little bit, and let's catch up with Claire Cottingham, who is joined by your 3rd place, Istvan Pookie.
Well, actually, 3rd place, Dani Beresnay alongside me first. Let's have a chat with him. My lights have gone out, but I'm going to continue talking. Dani, congratulations. What a day for you. Not quite what you were after, though. You were after that 1st place, weren't you?
Well, with my worn tires, with these long DRS straights, I knew that I will be 2nd maximum, and I optimized my whole race for that. And Ismail did a really smart play to be behind of me, leave a distance, so his 2nd place is secured, and then he can attack in the last lap. And he totally deserved the win. He was amazing. But I'm really happy with the podium. Honestly, P2 would have been a little bit better, but it's not bad that my teammate took that position at a crazy last lap battle from me, because first season we were the only team that both made it to Q3, and we are the only team that both stand on the podium now. So I don't think I am allowed to be disappointed.
No, absolutely. A brilliant day for Mercedes, like you say, and alongside your new teammate as well. Was there a point, though, that you did think you led for so long that this could be your first win of the season?
To be honest, not really. Only if I get lucky, because the thing is that the tire wear at the front is really high. I had 1 lap older tires, so I never really believe that some kind of miracle will happen. I see the races realistically, but because I saw this race realistically, this is where I gained 6 positions from the start, because I was P8, now I'm P2. Maybe another race in the first event. I have some tracks that I like even more than this. We can fight for the victory with more even tires after a better qualifying.
Absolutely. More to come, I'm sure, from Mercedes, and more to come from you, I'm sure, Danny. It was a strategic race as well, wasn't it? You came in a little bit earlier, like you say, so your tyres were a little bit older, but it did work out.
Yes, I was really surprised how strong the undercut was, and I'm super happy.
Okay, I'll let you go. Congratulations. Let's bring in second place. Congratulations. I mean, what an F1 sim racing start. Like, incredible. Podium alongside your teammate as well. You must be thrilled.
Yeah, well, that's not something I expected. Obviously, I was hoping for the best. And after qualifying, I was not happy with my lap, but with the position P5, I take it. Before the session, I said any top 6 position I will take. So from P5, I lost the position to Thomas, who started from P7, and obviously that was not ideal, but we were hoping to undercut with both cars. Danny lap 8 and I was planned lap 9. But when I saw everyone pitting, I was just, I'm obviously not going to do the same, because there is no point. I'm not going to gain positions like that, probably. So I decided with the team to stay longer, and we were hesitating between lap 12, lap 13. And I came out, I think, like net P11 into the train, and there was an easy move on Tamás, and yeah, the moves were just coming lap by lap. The first few were quite easy, not easy, but quite, they were not that harsh with me, because obviously they knew I have like 6/10 pace advantage of a lap. But then I think Barry was the first one, the tough guy who took me like a few laps to take. But I was just draining him, his ERS down and down, lap by lap, and I was counting roughly how much he could have. And around the outside in the fast chicane, that was a tough move, but I knew that's my only chance probably. Otherwise he can regain it back in the last sector again, and then no chance. And until last lap, or on the last lap, I was mainly focusing on keeping P4, because I knew otherwise if I drain myself down the back straight, and I had no ERS, Otis will get me into the right-hander. And then I saw them clash, and I had 0 warnings on the race, so I knew I can cut the track a bit if I have to avoid something, so that was good as well. And I took the opportunity, and in the penalty meter I slowed down a bit to give Danny DRS in case he needs it out of last turn, and yeah, it has happened.
A brilliant analysis of your entire race there. I feel like I didn't need to ask any more questions. How are you feeling, though? Are you pleased with your performance, and especially being able to celebrate a podium with your teammate, Danny?
Yeah, especially with Danny, but with anyone who would be my teammate, of course, it would be amazing. But of course, as we are friends, we know each other for like 12 years now. And to be teammates in such a competitive field and such a competitive job, it's a really nice thing, and I couldn't be happier, to be honest.
Well, congratulations. Thanks for talking.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Claire, for chatting to Esteban P2 and Danny Bresny in P3. But felicidades to the guy who has just joined us on the desk. His 13th start in F1 sim racing and first win, not just for himself, but also for Williams. Congratulations, Ismail. Try and put it into words. How are you feeling right now?
To be honest, I have no words to describe this feeling. My first ever sim racing win. I don't know, I just, you know, I started crying before crossing the finish line. It's a special moment. I've been a Formula One fan since I was a little kid, and yeah, the fact that I'm here against all these people, all these drivers, representing a Formula One team, even though it's not real life, it's something that I appreciate a lot. And yeah, I'm just very exhausted, and I just want to enjoy this moment. And like I said in quali, surely a day that I will never forget in my life, and yeah, I will have to put it, you know, in my bedroom, January 14th, 2025. So, yeah,
you'll have many to add. You'll have many to add. Well, a question I wanted to ask. Of course, after qualifying, you got pole. We saw the emotion. We felt the vibrations as you were slamming the stage. How did you reset yourself after? I mean, it's only a few hours ago. It's not like you had a whole day to sort of calm down. How did you reset yourself to then manage the race perfectly in our eyes, the way that you sat back in P2, then picked your moment at the end? How did you kind of get yourself into that headspace again?
First of all, obviously, you're just happy. Everyone was congratulating me, and yeah, then later on I just grabbed my phone, just checked every message from my friends, the people who watch this, and they were very happy. So that made me even more happy and more confident about coming up towards the race. And yeah, once you're sat in the rig, you just focus on the race and do the best you can do.
How difficult was it to hold on to P2 in that train? Because I imagine you were looking behind a lot of the time, trying to stay in P2.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Easy.
It wasn't easy, obviously. But yeah, I just was managing a gap with Danny on the sector 2, basically. So every time anyone behind me wanted to pass me, I was just, usually a rest. Well, my top speed was quite high, and I could defend myself easily. And yeah, then on the last lap, I just closed the gap. I was very close to him. He was on all the tires as well, which means it's a lot easier for me. And of course, I was second, which makes you save a little bit more tires. So yeah, I just waited for the moment and overtook him.
Were you confident going into the last lap that you were going to be able to get the lead? Did you see it playing out exactly how it did play out, or did you have to improvise a little bit on that last lap?
Absolutely. The tire advantage is very high, even more when you're behind someone. Oh, it shouldn't be like this, to be honest. But yeah, it was basically very easy. DRS is very powerful as well, and slipstream. So yeah, I just closed that gap in sector 1 using a little bit of DRS, taking the slipstream, and it was quite easy to overtake us. Yeah, a long straight. Yeah, nothing more to add, to be honest.
Well, for someone who didn't have many words before you came and joined us on the desk, you've absolutely smashed it, Ismail. I've got to ask, though, I want to take you back to last season just quickly, because your first 6 races, points in every single one, and then after that, a kind of drop-off in what we expected from you, from the rookie, as we kept referring to you. Coming into this year, what were your expectations? What was your targets? Because your first pole, your first win, you've absolutely smashed it, but what targets had you set yourself?
Well, last season was very tough, last event. I had some issues last event, which I won't say. I'm not gonna rage here. But yeah, coming up to this season, I know I was quick, but my main issue since last game was consistency in quali, which was something that I was lacking a lot. But yeah, apparently I started very well this season, so what can I say?
Well, it's incredible to see your first victory, first pole position, and a first win for Williams as well. You must be very proud. I hope you go and celebrate hard tonight. And don't forget, no, because you've got China and Bahrain tomorrow, and then
Don't listen to him.
Just the 2. No, absolutely go wild. Enjoy yourself. Let's have a look at the standings as we say goodbye to Ismail Fassi, your first winner for the 2025 season. And there you have it. Not only did he get that extra point for finishing on pole in quali, but a race win as well. So 26 points. There he is, Istvan Pukki and Mercedes. What a display from the Mercedes team. When we look at that constructors, I know it's only one race, but it does set the agenda. It does set the marker down for the start of the season. And there we have it, all the way down to 24th. Right, those are the driver standings. Much more to add to that. I welcome back to the desk Marcel Kiefer. Now, interestingly, I don't know if we've clipped it up, but he did say absolutely no way pole to victory for Fassi. So I'm just curious on that. If we look at the driver constructor standings there we are. Mercedes, we're out in front with 33 points. Marcel, it's so difficult. I know I'm throwing you a little bit under the bus there, but in a kind of
Yeah,
it's a lot, but in a jovial way.
I never said that. I don't recall saying that.
but so many times we have no idea. When I asked the prediction, we've got no form other than quali to go by. Yeah. And then Danny Beresny does that incredible strategy pit, and so we've got no idea. But then to see him go to victory, I'm curious what you made of that race.
I mean, I made nothing of that race because it was like with you guys. I was thinking, where did Rasmussen go? Where out of nowhere, Ottmar was back, and Blakely as well. Like nobody expected Blakely to suddenly also be in the mix for the podium. Like there was so much going on, especially in the final few laps. And I did not have Beresny on the podium on my bingo card. That was like, I was like, how the heck? One lap. So that's where you could see. If they are actually not realizing someone did the undercut, if he pushes and does a great outlap, I mean, he was immediately in P2 and P1 after like overtaking them on their outlap. So Great job. Mercedes executed everything perfectly.
Yeah.
I actually thought this year they might look a little bit weaker because of the big change also with Jarno leaving, but they demolished everyone. Like there was perfect execution.
Apart from Fassi.
Yes, of course. But Mercedes engine. It's a 1, 2, 3 Mercedes powered car. So but Fassi did a great job, honestly. Seeing him also so emotional. I know he had a bad season for his own standards, like he wanted more last season. Getting this start is great motivation for him and the team, probably also for Alvaro. Yeah. So even with that result, they are already in a mix for a good position in the constructors.
Appreciate that. Jakesy, we were, I was just here watching you and listening to you on the desk, but that was just so out of the blue. Lap 9, and Marcel would mention about lap 12, the strategy maybe from pitting and getting off or getting onto the hard tyres. How did you take it?
Marcel was right. That was the right strategy to do, but you were always at a track like this going to get someone who went early. You were always going to... Now, I thought they'd be maybe further back, but the majority of those outside the top 10 went for the hard tyre to start on. So there was no real option for them to take a medium that far. Those lower down, it's a great call, and it's given us a great race. But someone was always going to stop a little bit early just to create something.
Yeah, I would love to hear how the Mercedes drivers responded in the team comms just as they crossed the line. I think we can hear that now.
It's okay. It's definitely not my fault.
Good job, lads. Good job, lads. Well done. Double podium start the season. Fantastic stuff. What?
That's what it means to the guys. And also seeing in the background there, Bono Huis, who's been around a long time in the F1 sim racing world. And it is a team effort because someone had to call that strategy. Would it have been Danny? Would it have been one of the race engineers? Maybe Bono saying, I think this is the time we pull the trigger, Matt.
Could be a mix. Could be the driver. We'd have to ask him. But they all work together. They have so many strategies ready to go. And they just have to watch and see how the race unfolds. As soon as they saw lap 8, Danny, they've obviously spoken about it because Pookie went very late. I think Pookie mentioned he was going to come in a lap later than Beresney, so they were both going to push the undercut hard. But then so many people came in, Pookie went, well, there's no point me coming in because I'm just going to be at the back of this train. And it was a great shout because then he carried on, and then he was so quick towards the end of the race. So Mercedes nailed it. They absolutely did. And I think the other teams are going to have to look around. You know, we're talking about Red Bull, we're talking about Ferrari. Mercedes are leading the team's championship.
Yeah.
So, brilliant work.
Egg on eye face, because we didn't mention them at all at the top of the show. But we didn't have a lot of time to get into it, as we see Ismail straight onto the social media.
That's there all day, Tom. What are you
let's look at the tyre usage. That's something that I know that Marcel will want to talk about. But when you look at it, there it is.
Yeah.
For every single driver. What stands out to you there, Marcel?
I mean, we can actually see Isfan Pookie went for kind of that strategy that we were talking about, but he was the only one of that initial train, which is actually crazy because you don't get such a leap of a tire advantage if you go for an overcut compared to the other drivers in your pack. So that he actually made that work and still finished P2 within that chaos is actually a very impressive showing. I think he pitted lap 11. With Fassi, they were all kind of just reacting to Beresney. Beresney made that super early call. I actually think it was like a combination of both, because you guys were asking, but I know Mercedes, they love their data. They love to work on the tires. They really prioritize that and do everything, like they calculate everything. So that's like proper professional work. I think also with the hard runners, they also did a similar strategy to what we were referring to. Especially with Longue, he stayed the longest from the hards to the mediums. But in the end, actually, it was Jarno who probably gained the most from this opposite strategy. So that was a great call from him again, the usual Opmer showing. Here we have lap 1, that start, where everything started to become a bit chaotic. Bari hit the back of Otis, then Thomas actually hit the back of Bari, and Bari lost out to that position in the end. A little bit of hard racing, wheel rubbing, but in the end it worked out, no wing damage. And this is what you guys were mentioning, the holding back from Rasmussen. This is the initial phase of every race. They're just trying to maintain position, not lose any positions, and sort of just stick where they are. Aside from the guys at the back, obviously. Lap 7, we had the first moves. Otis trying to go for a move, then he got boxed in. Rona is profiting from it, does the flick in to the right, and still gets past Otis, I believe. Or is he?
But I tell you what, Thomas Ronhart was on a man on a mission.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
honestly,
We mentioned so many times, Matt.
He started where did he start? P7, P6?
Yes, P7.
Yeah, P7.
That's actually incredible. Like in the initial phase to overtake these guys is super difficult. Then we have Fassi after the pit stops, trying to go for move. Beresney getting past, and I think Fassi is also making the move on Freddy. This is again one of the only weaknesses that I see with Freddy. His racecraft is too soft, and I think he has it from his days on other sims like iRacing, where they really got like there's something called netcode. If the cars touch, they sometimes get spun out even though they don't touch physically. And so he's still racing like it's there, but here we can go a little bit harder, and he's just sometimes a little bit too soft and losing out on positions. Then there's another position. Look, he's losing position after position. He's already in P5. He gets back ahead of Thomas. Bari losing out big time. Otis is squeezing through. And I think even Istvan is waiting right behind to try and line up a move. And Istvan, we all know, he finished P2, so there was a lot of overtaking going on. Yaro was sitting right behind, seeing all of the chaos unfold ahead of him. Josh trying to line up a move on Bari. Didn't work out yet, but with that, he was able to catch up. With his experience, he's just staying behind. Here we have the onboard from Bari, getting squeezed off the track, actually. I think that should be considered a little bit unfair from Josh, but let's see what the stewards will have to say about that. Jano gets through on Bari, and Bari is losing out, I think, 4 positions because Blakely is also making his way past, and that just hurts to see because Bari is such a good racer. He was dirty in his early stages, but he's a very clean and clinical driver nowadays.
And Jarno was a man on a mission coming through from P11, ended up in P4, but it was him and Tom Manley that stayed out as long as possible and their tyre strategy, Matt. What did you make of his race and in terms of just moving up through the pack?
Yeah, I mean, Manley was flying through. He was ahead of Otmir for a lot of that race. And then you can see, with the amount of jostling for position that's going on, sometimes it can go wrong, sometimes it can go right. Ronhar was so aggressive around the outside on multiple occasions. It was brilliant to watch. But yeah, even here, lap 21, Manley's ahead of Otmir at this stage, but it can just go wrong in a blink of an eye, and you're pushed wide, and all of a sudden you're swallowed up because we had 19 cars within DRS of each other. If you lose a little bit of time, you lose a handful of positions. So it was perfect up until that point for Manley.
It was lap 23 that's just coming up. Otmir overtake on Manley, and then passed by Lucas as well. It was just so frenetic throughout.
So oversteery when you're looking at the onboards, and obviously when it's happening in real time, you're wondering if it is aggressive. Drivers are on the ragged edge here. They're really oversteery, side by side all the way through. I'm amazed we didn't get more incidents. We had that locked up moment for the Ferrari and the McLaren at turn 13, but amazingly aggressive by the standards of recent years.
Look how close it was between Manley and Blakely there, but this is where it really changed for Manley. The drivers behind just saw an opportunity. Manley on the back foot for all of 2 corners, and he lost 3-4 positions. And then we're lap 24 now. Jarno Otmir once again on those medium tyres, still thinking there's an opportunity. And this is where Freddie gets completely and utterly swamped. And, Lawrence, I'm sure once again the stewards will have a look, and they will look at all of these instances where there's a little bit of pushing, a little bit of shoving. This was slightly rude.
That was too much.
That's fairly intense, that one. That was going to be looked at as well, I reckon.
Yeah, but you know, guys, what I noticed? One driver that really breaks super late, it's Ronhart. But the reason why he's able... Oh my God! The reason why he's able to do it, every time when he goes for a dive bomb, he's flicking the wheel in the final moment to slow down the car even more. When he's on the outside, here he is again. He's always doing it. If you watch him, every single time, in the last second, he's flicking it completely in, so the car slows down even more.
And that's the move that won him the race.
Wow.
And this,
oh my God.
It's...
Yeah, that's not an overtaking opportunity, unfortunately.
No.
Both of them very lucky to not be flying into the wall as well.
Oh, another one. The wheel bang there with Alfie Butcher, who already had a penalty at this point. The race seemed away from him. And obviously, we were talking to Ismail Fassi just now, your race winner today, Alvaro Carreton, getting a penalty. Actually, we're surrounded just behind us as we watch the highlights here by the whole of the Williams team, eager to analyse what's happened, as all the drivers will. They'll go away today and work out what were the strengths, what worked, what didn't work. Yeah. But I mean, some of the drivers, Longo from P15 to PA, I know this is going to go through the stewards and final placements, but Crows Crozen as well. A little shout out to the Haas driver,
Yeah.
P20 up to P12, and he had the fastest lap so early on. And you even mentioned that, Matt, saying, hey, this is a race that could go anywhere right now.
Well, yeah, that just highlighted the pace of the pack wasn't actually that quick, and that's what allowed Danny Berezne to pull off that strategic move as well as obviously the undercut helping. But yeah, Crozen up to P12, that'll be a confidence builder. Obviously, no points, but it's qualifying obviously needs to be improved quite drastically. But he's got the racecraft.
So all to look forward to tomorrow. Can we just talk about the big announcement coming into this? And congratulations to all of the incredible action that we've just seen. But the fact that Brendon Leigh is calling time. I would like to just discuss this a little bit before we say goodbye to everyone and come back tomorrow. But two-time world champ, set the precedent for what all F1 sim racers wanted to get to. And as Marcel said earlier on, he was the GOAT. Everyone feared him. Losing someone like Brendon Leigh, you've been involved in F1 sim racing for a little while now. Alex, how do you take that news?
He's a major star. He's a huge personality of this championship. And it's just going to be plain weird with him not about. I mean, I think he's comfortable with the decision he's made. He's comfortable enough to have a bag of Maltesers with him when he goes racing. So, yeah, it's going to be strange lining up next year and he won't be part of it.
2017, we were on top of that villa in Abu Dhabi, and then watching him being crowded with Fab Donoso and Sven Zerner, and it changed his world. Not only that, but it also made him get to be the man he wants to be. It's like such an incredible journey for him.
Yeah, not just from a sim racing perspective, but also the character development is unbelievable. The Brendon Leigh of today, compare him to 2017, he wouldn't say boo to a goose. He wouldn't speak to you. He wouldn't say hello. Now it's like, hey, guys.
Motivational speaker.
Like, he's absolutely brilliant. He's a fantastic character and one that, well, it feels like it's the end of the season. We've still got another 11 races to go, mate. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of time to see Brendon Leigh on track. But yeah, it is sad to see that he will be leaving. But look, he's been around since 2017. He wants to pursue other things, and you just got to respect that.
And what about yourself, Marcel? A lot of drivers are commenting on X that when he posted a video, two minutes of gold, thanking literally everyone.
Did he thank us?
No, but that's not important. I mean, he meant that by saying all of the fans. Marcel, what did you make of that announcement?
I mean, honestly, I think we can also word it a bit more personal, because I was from day one, I was close with Brendon, especially through the early stages of my career. He was also like a guide, a coach for me, because he already had a lot of experience and he was obviously the winner. So I was kind of new to the scene, and he was just always very open and helpful, and the presence that you can see how he is in public with everyone, like he's always messing around, he's always making jokes. He will truly be missed, but at the same time, I'm not really sad that he's going. I'm more glad that we were actually able to witness the Brendon Leigh. Like he's just a legend, and I think we will definitely still see him around in some sort of way, not as a driver, but he surely will be.
If we've taken our jobs.
100%.
I'm gone next year.
No pressure on the rest of your analysis throughout the next couple of days. Well, let's hear from Brendon Leigh on that retirement.
Oh, the action is here. Look at them. 3 wide coming down into the left-hander. And who is going to emerge on top? It is Brendon Leigh. And who will be the first ever F1 Esports champion? Here comes Brendon Leigh. Donoso covers the inside line. We're on the final lap. It's the battle for the lead. And Leigh sells the dummy. And he just gets through up the inside. And Donoso has to cut the corner.
The first ever Formula 1 Esports champion, it's Brendon Leigh!
At the end of the season, I will be retiring from racing in F1 sim racing. It's been a big part of my life, even before joining the series. Even since 2014, I was driving, training, practicing, and yeah, it means the world to me. It means a lifetime to me, because these memories that I've made in this time, the people that I've met, the people that I've experienced this life with, yeah, they'll be with me forever, and it's something that I'm very fond of and I cherish, and I have photos, I have trophies, I have many, many, many memories at home that I have on my wall. But one day when I'm 80 in my rocking chair, I look forward to seeing back on.
Leigh, still relentless in this fight against Rasmussen.
Great respect between these veterans of F1 sim racing, but it's Leigh on the inside, still side by side, but Leigh surely gonna get the position done, and he has.
Absolutely beautiful. And Brendon, while that was on, just walked past, looked at the screen that's just in front of us, said, who's that guy in 2017? He doesn't even recognize him. 2 interesting facts he passed out to us, Jake C, which made you reply, He's a one-off, which was he's never done the finger wag from not a season that he's won a championship and hasn't won a race since having a girlfriend. So there you go. So those are the two comments that Brendon Leigh
There we
said.
go. He is a one-off. He is a one-off, and he'll be greatly missed.
Matt, listen, top day. Highlight for you today, like rounding things up and building us up towards tomorrow with China and Bahrain. If you thought one race was too much, we've got two tomorrow.
I condense that into one answer.
Yeah. So the highlight is the entire thing, for sure. The race was phenomenal. What a round one. You couldn't dream of a better round one to have. So for me, it's just the whole spectacle. It's the fact that new talent are there. They're not scared to make a move. Bring it on.
Okay. And Jixie, enjoyed the day? Nice simple question.
I've loved the day. It's been excellent. Came in with a few preconceptions about what we were going to get, what we were going to see. None of it turned out that way. First time winner. Brilliant. Bring it on. Championship's wide open.
Marcel, lovely to have you on the desk.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. That's it. That's your highlight.
No, that's a goodbye. That was it. I want to keep the powder dry for tomorrow. Thank you very much to Marcel, to Matt Gallagher, to Alex Jakes, and of course to Claire Costello getting the driver interviews and chats. We'll be back tomorrow to go racing around China and Bahrain. Until then, take care. See you tomorrow.